Hello, my friends, hello, and welcome once again to Stately Von Manor, where Roger and I have returned for a video, well, a video about not much, actually. Just some, just some little channel things today. Some little things going on here at the Manor I thought I would talk about. Not going on, but, about the channel, I guess. Now, there are a lot of other videos I could have done because there's a lot of videos I want to do and there's a couple of videos I really need to do. But I've had a long couple weeks. My brain is a little fried. So I thought I would just do this dumb video instead, right? I'll just do this dumb video instead. So here it is. So I have a few things, a few channel things to talk about today. A few booktuby things that I have not addressed fully. First of all, I missed my last weekend reading report. And nobody noticed. Nobody noticed that I missed my weekend reading report. It's like my favorite video to do, but apparently not the most popular because nobody noticed that I didn't do it last weekend. Oh well, I didn't do it because, well, I didn't get much reading done the week before because it was like the previous Sunday. I have my Sunday comics, for example. I didn't have a chance to read my Sunday comics because other things that I had to do ended up taking all day. And the reading during the week, there's bad luck there too because I was so busy. So I really didn't have anything to report, so I didn't report on it. And like I said, nobody really noticed, so I guess that's all right. I'll probably have one up. I probably won't have one up until Monday, to be honest. So it's not going to be really a weekend reading report. But apparently nobody cares anyway, so that's all right. What else is going on? Oh yes. It's time to finally talk about something that I have been avoiding talking about for weeks. And that is the dreaded 500 book challenge. Yes, the 500 book challenge. For those of you who are unawares, the 500 book challenge is this idiotic thing that I took on. See, there was a 100 book challenge, which was retitled the Read What You Own Challenge. And it was created by CriminOlly over at CriminOlly's awesome channel. And there were different tiers, 25, 50, 75, and 100 was like the gold, I think. Yeah, or was it platinum? I don't know, but it was a big deal, the 100. But I decided, you know what, I've got so many unread books, I can do a 500 book challenge. And so I decided to do that because, I'm an idiot. Thinking, and in my mind, I was like, you know what? This will be a good chance to read all of these books I've got lying around. And it doesn't, I've got so many of them. I've got thousands of unread books, this is a good thing to do, And I'm going to make a real effort to read more, to consume more books. But it turns out that I'm a very slow reader and nothing is really going to change that, including the 500 book challenge. So I've only completed 71 books. There was another book that didn't count because it was a book by a booktuber that I purchased. And those books don't count because, an exemption from the challenge is you can buy books that are written by other booktubers or your friends so you can support them. And I did read a book by a booktuber during that time, and it was terrible, so I really shouldn't have read it. Oh well. I am only at 71, and I'm reading 72 right now. And so that is not good, because like when I started this way back forever ago, everybody who was doing the 100 book challenge finished the 100 books. They finished the 100 books a while ago. And I'm still, at this point, only at 71. So I suck. So obviously the 500 book challenge is a terrible thing. But what to do? I'm already in the 500 book challenge. You can't just quit something like that because I made a commitment to do it. So, you know, what is to be done? And I thought, if I just don't mention it for a while, if I just don't mention the 500 book challenge, everybody will forget all about it. Everybody will forget the and then, you know, years down the road, I'll just, people will be like, whatever happened to the 500 book challenge? Oh, I read those books. I read those 500 books. Yeah, no problem. But it doesn't look like that's going to pan out, because some people have been like, oh, what's going on with the 500 book challenge? And I'm like, what challenge? But so obviously something needs to be done. Fortunately, Roger over here has a time machine, and he's decided he was never a big fan. Roger, you were never a fan. You were right all along. Roger was never a big fan of this whole 500 book challenge thing, this whole read 500 books you own before you buy any new ones business. Nonsense, said Roger. So Roger came up with a plan which involves his time machine, which usually he doesn't let me use, but this time he's got it all figured out. So Roger came up with this plan, and this plan is that Roger and I will go back in time to before I came up with this stupid idea to do the 500 book challenge. We'll find my younger self. We'll murder him, and then I will take his place. It does seem a little harsh. It does seem a little harsh to murder my younger self. But I suppose to get rid of the 500 book challenge, it's worth it. I don't know, Roger. There's something that bugs me about this plan of yours. There's like something I'm overlooking. It seems like something obvious, but you know, time travel's confusing. There could be something I'm overlooking in this plan that maybe makes it not such a good idea, Roger, but well, you're the expert. So Roger's the expert. I'm sure he's got it all under control. So yeah, we're going to do that. I could say this, you know, and not worry about it, because, you know, it'll probably change the timeline, just like in those dumb new Star Trek shows. Those new Star Trek shows are really stupid. So, that's just an aside. Have any of you guys seen Star Trek Strange New Worlds? It's that show that's dedicated to making Mr. Spock look like an idiot. I actually kind of liked it last year, but this year it turned into total crap. It's total crap this year. Anyway, that's off topic. Roger and I have it all under control. We've got it. So, no worries. In a few days after we make this trip, the 500 book challenge will have never happened. And it's back to normal business. You know, you heard it here first, and you won't remember it because the timeline will be changed. Anyway, there's that. What other dopey things was I going to talk about? Oh, yes. So, one of the videos I'm supposed to make is for Occult Detective October, which is a reading event going on, well, next month, dedicated to reading about occult detectives. Everybody else who's a co-host for this event, they've all made videos about it, announcement videos, but not me, not my dumb ass. I keep intending to, but I haven't yet. So I have to figure out how I'm going to go about it, because everybody else has done like everything I was going to do. There was like, you know, these are the best occult detectives, and this is my TBR for Occult Detective October. So I'll have to think of something. I do know what I'm going to read for Occult Detective October. Here's another thing, though. I'm not going to have time, I don't think, to follow the weekly prompts, which off the top of my head, I don't remember. But when I do my video on Occult Detective October, which will probably be like next week or something, long after everybody else has done it, then I'll remember what the weekly prompts are. But right now I don't. And I can't do them because I probably don't have time. The only two things I know for sure that I'm going to read for Occult Detective October, and you're hearing it here first, unless I already said it, which is entirely possible. Anyway, I'm going to read this. This is Occult Detective Magazine, which is my favorite fiction magazine. This is awesome. So Occult Detective Magazine, this is issue number 10 for summer of 2023. It's got a cool cover like it always does, full of fiction and articles. Always an entertaining read, and it's perfect for Occult Detective October. So definitely going to be reading this. But I am going to be reading a book that's pretty long, actually. It's 500 and... How long is this? 521 pages? 522 pages. And that is this book, which is... You can't tell from that. But it's Landon Connor's Occult Detective Volume 1. It's Volume 1 by Bob Freeman. So, that's Landon Connor's there on the cover. He looks like a famous movie star, but it's Landon Connor's. There's a lot of artwork in here that has people that look like, famous movie stars. But it's Landon Connor's Occult Detective. And this is by Bob Freeman, who is this awesome guy, who has his own channel. He has his own BookTube channel. And he's already done his announcement. He's done like 2 videos about Occult Detective October already. And I haven't. So, I suck. But Bob Freeman's awesome. And this is a book I've been wanting to read. It won't count for the 500 book challenge because I did buy this after the challenge started. And it's by a fellow booktuber though, so I can get it and I can read it. It just won't count for the challenge. But since, I'm going to be murdering my younger self and replacing him, and the challenge will never exist, then it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter, Roger, right? Yeah. He's always got my back, Roger does. And so this will be definitely the main thing I'm going to be reading for Occult Detective October. And yeah, I like peeked at it and read a page here and there, and it looks like it's going to be really good. So I will report to you on this. I probably will read other things for Occult Detective October. I will let you know when I do that. Well, I'll let you know probably in October. I might come up with a couple other books that I might try to squeeze in there. We'll see how it goes. Oh, another thing. So, this month is Sumerian September. It's Sumerian September. This whole month is dedicated to reading the original Conan stories by Robert E. Howard. The original stories by Robert E. Howard. And I'm reading the 3-volume Del Rey set. I did finish the first book, The Coming of Conan the Sumerian, which was awesome. It's just as good as, all the other times I've read those stories. And I am on the 2nd volume right now. And I just finished today The People of the Black Circle. And so I'm going to be moving on tomorrow to The Hour of the Dragon, which is a novel. I'm sure the kids today would call it a novelette because it's not long. If it's not long, everybody calls short novels novelettes or novellas or something. It's a novel. It's just short. Anyway, it's The Hour of the Dragon, which is my favorite Conan story. So I'm looking forward to reading that again. So, yeah, Sumerian September, moving right along. I would be completing these quicker, except for Roger's Cheap Old Book Club. So Roger's Cheap Old Book Club, which I did want to mention because I haven't talked about it in a while. Another video that's super late is the video I'm going to be doing on Gladiator by Philip Wiley, which is a really good book. And I will have this video up next week, I think. Next week, I should actually have some time to make videos. This week has been a little rough. But next week, I should have time to make some real videos. And so I'm going to be making a video on Gladiator by Philip Wiley. This book, it surprised me how good this was. This is a really good book. So this was last month's pick for Roger's Cheap Old Book Club. This month's pick is the book The Exploits of Brigadier Gerard. And I have the exploits in the complete Brigadier Gerard. And I picked it up, and in between Conan stories, I read the first Brigadier Gerard story. I didn't intend to, but I picked this up and I started reading and I kept reading. And you know how it goes. And so I've been, in between Conan stories, I've been reading Brigadier Gerard stories for Roger's Cheap Old Book Club, which is not how I was going to go about this. But, they're good stories, actually, and I've read some of these stories, but I've never read the whole exploits of Brigadier Gerard. And so this is this month's pick for Roger's Sheeple Book Club, The Exploits of Brigadier Gerard by another Conan, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Next month, in case you're curious, is the book Ghost Stories by an Antiquary. No, here, let me get it right. Ghost Stories of an Antiquary. Ghost Stories of an Antiquary, which was the first book by M.R. James, the first book of ghost stories by M.R. James. But what I am going to do is I'm going to read the complete ghost stories of M.R. James. This is one of the reasons I won't have time to probably read more occult detective books next month. Because M.R. James didn't write any occult detective stories. He just wrote a lot of, well, supernatural horror stories. Really, really great ones. And it's been a long time since I've read James. So I thought, you know what? I got to do a video on this anyway for my Essential Classics of Horror series. So I'm just going to read the whole thing. I've got this wonderful Oxford edition. I have this physical copy, and I also have a Kindle copy. So I'm definitely going to be reading that. What else? Oh yes. Here's another thing. So I made a video called, well, it was about my TBR shelf over there, and it was the next 18 fantasy books I'm going to read next. The next 18 fantasy books I'm going to read. And I came out with that video. Steve Donoghue was critical, my good friend Steve Donoghue, because he couldn't believe some of the books I have not read in fantasy. And he came out with his own video, the Essentials of Fantasy Literature. That's what it was called. The Essentials of Fantasy Literature. And some of those books I haven't... Where are those books? I have those books lying around here somewhere. Where did I put them? Hold on a minute. I'm back. You know, this channel, man, it's like a well-oiled machine. Smooth sailing, always. Anyway, where was I? Oh yes, The Essentials of Fantasy Literature. The video that Steve Donoghue did, where he talks about a bunch of books that you need to read to be schooled in fantasy. Like, if you don't read these books, you know, you could be a fantasy fan, but you don't know fantasy. And so then I was like, great, I just made a video on the 18 books I'm going to read next in fantasy, and he comes up with all these other books that if I don't read them, and I'm an idiot, right? I don't know fantasy. I already don't know fantasy, right? Because I haven't read these other books on my list that apparently I should have. And now he goes and adds a bunch of others. So I'll link his video down below. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good video. It's all right. It's a good video. It's a really good video. It just has a bunch of books that I need to read. So I have to add these books to my list of 18, right? And so I had to check, of the books that are on that video that I have not read, I have to add those. The books that were essential that he talked about that I haven't read yet, I've got to add those. The only problem is that I only have a couple of them. A couple of them that I do have are T.H. White's The Once and Future King, and T.H. White's The Book of Merlin. These are both on Steve Donoghue's list of essential fantasy books that you need to read, or you don't know jack about fantasy. Apparently you need to read these, otherwise you don't know. So fortunately I do have these pristine copies, which I got a couple years ago at least and never read. I think I got these, I can't remember which bookstore I got them at. I got them used, but they're in perfect condition, which is one of the reasons I got them. But I got these two T.H. White books, and You know, so I have these. And I also have another one that he mentioned, The Dragon Waiting by John M. Ford. I have that as an ebook for the Kindle, and I don't remember when I got it. I have no memory of buying it, but I do have it. I do have it. It's from Tor. It's a Tor Essential, apparently. And so both Tor and Steve Donoghue agree that The Dragon Waiting by John M. Ford is essential. It's essential. But there are also a bunch of books that I haven't read. Well, there's 4 of them. 3 of them. There are 3 books that I have not read and do not own. One is His Dark Materials by Philip Pullman. His Dark Materials, which I've never read that book. Right now, Steve Donoghue's screaming, I can't believe you've never... I haven't. I've never read His Dark Materials by Philip Pullman. Apparently I have to. Then there's the book, The Lies of Loch Lamora. The Lies of Loch Lamora by Scott Lynch. I've never read that book either. I've never read that one either. Then there's I'm going to mispronounce this. The Mabinogion books. The Mabinogion books. This is sad for a descendant of the Welsh such as myself to not be able to pronounce this, but the Mabinogion books. Mabinogion? I don't know. It's by Evangeline Walton. And it's a series of books. The Mabinogion books. Mabinogion? You can all correct me in the comments. But those books, I don't have any of those. So that's one series and 2 books that I don't own. And that puts me in a fix because of the 500 book challenge. But only for a few more days, right, Roger? It's all going to work out. So, do I have anything else I was going to talk about? I feel like there was something else I needed to talk about, Roger, but I can't remember what it was. This has been a very long and difficult week. It's been long and difficult. But next week, like I said, next week I actually have the week off. So I should have time with a functioning brain because I might even be able to get some sleep, which apparently is something I need. Apparently I need sleep. The 4 hours I get a night apparently is not enough, according to my physician. So I should be able to catch up on some sleep, be rested, be able to think rationally, and be able to make the videos I need to make instead of just babbling incoherently like a madman, like I've been doing for however long I've been doing. Okay, guys, I will catch you next time.